Welcome to Eastside, where we gather, all of us, each in different stage of our spiritual journey, young and old, all races and colors. We don't exist for ourselves, but for people. People that haven't been invited, people that haven't been cared for, who have walked away from God. People have a past that pushes others away. It's about the hurting and those who have lost hope. We gather as one church, not as individuals, not as separate campuses, but as a family pushing towards the same thing, knowing that Jesus was not for the select few, but for all of us. We believe Jesus is the hope in a world of darkness, and it's through his church that the world will find light. We believe who we choose to be today will determine the world of tomorrow. So we have a vision, to begin each day with purpose, to open our hearts and minds to learn something new, to let go of our comfortable living to reach the searching, the broken, the hurting, to focus on what really matters, to band together and fight against the darkness, a vision to be the church Jesus called us to be. This isn't just a church. Eastside is a movement of people who gather together with Jesus, declaring, "This is for everyone."
Well, hey, everybody. I hope you had an amazing Christmas day, and thank you for joining us at Eastside Online for the final Sunday of 2021. I want to take a look back today at 9 of the significant moments of worship, ministry, impact, and teaching over the last year. And I want to jump right into things with memory number 1. We just had such amazing Christmas services at all of our campuses over this past week, and it's hard to almost even remember this first memory, but just 1 year ago, after meeting online only for almost 10 whole months on most of our campuses, we were regathering for the first time. Because of limits on the size of indoor gatherings, we opened this outdoor venue in Anaheim, not only for worship, but to be able to broadcast to Redlands and Bellflower and Park Rapids and to our online family. The opening night of Christmas at Eastside was beautiful and magical, and the weather was perfect. It was so great to regather, and the music and the worship was just off the charts. But the next day, everything changed when wind, cold, rain, and sleet hammered us for the remainder of the week. Let's just say we made some memories. Take a look at this clip. Welcome like you've never done before to all our campuses on the other side of the camera joining us in Redlands, Bellflower, Park Rapids, everybody on. See the wind, the rain, and look at what floats behind me. What kind of people show up for a service like that? I'll tell you who, the amazing people of Eastside who no matter what just soldiered on. It was like after enduring a pandemic, people were saying to the weather, "That's all you got? This is nothing." But that outdoor venue would be our Anaheim home and our broadcast location for our other campuses and online for the next 4 months. And in spite of the challenges, the church regathered, God moved, lives were changed, and we watched God do something very special on Easter weekend all across our campuses. Friends, study every major world religion, and you will discover that in every case, the bridge construction always starts on the human side because religion is about human beings building a bridge to God. And you just hope you're doing enough before you die. This is true. Go study them in every major world religion, except one. Christianity, which you can read about in the Bible, is all about God building the bridge to you. Because God knew that no amount of human construction, no amount of our effort, no amount of bridge work would ever be enough. The Bible puts it this way in Romans 6:23, it says, "For the wages of sin," the punishment for sin, "is death." In other words, no matter how hard we try, no matter how many good things we do to make up for our sins that separated us from God, we can never do enough to build a bridge across the chasm of sin and death that separates us from God. We'll always fall short. So do you know what God does? He does something astonishing. From his side of the chasm, motivated by radical love for you, he builds a bridge over this chasm that separated immoral, imperfect, and sinful people like us. It happened when God sent his only son, Jesus, who suffered and bled and died on the cross. That's the cross that built a bridge for us on Good Friday. And this was not just any bridge. This was not like a 25-cent bridge toll to cross the Mississippi River to Burlington, Iowa. This was the costliest bridge ever built. I ended the service that day by inviting people to walk across the bridge to Jesus at all of our campuses. And we witnessed thousands take that walk of faith. Some walked across as an expression to renew their faith, some to express a heart of gratitude and worship and just say, God, thank you for loving me so much. Some walked to declare that because of the resurrection of Jesus, guilt or hate or an addiction or pain or death would not get the final word in their life. And many made the walk to put their faith in Jesus to save them from their sin. And it was so moving to watch individuals and couples and families, often with tears in their eyes, making spiritually defining decisions. One of the reasons that I believe God keeps blessing Eastside is because of the heart to unleash compassion. When the world shut down, Eastside stepped up and became the hands and feet of Jesus in new and unprecedented ways.
During Eastside's first ever 21 days of serving, we were so overwhelmed with the thousands of acts of compassion that took place literally all over the map. You served your local homeless neighbors by sharing meals with them, giving them shoes off your own feet, providing them with items to help them stay warm and feel more confident. You volunteered to serve them, put together kits to help warm their homes, and were conduits of compassion. You served those who were sick, medically fragile, or lost a loved one by checking in on them and offering support, sharing notes and care packages for encouragement, delivering flowers to communicate hope, shopping for them, and even preparing and delivering home-cooked meals. You sacrificed your own blood, plasma, and platelets to ensure that there's enough of a supply for those who desperately need it. Many of you made an impact on complete strangers through random acts of kindness, like filling up someone's gas tank or buying their coffee, by leaving treats and gifts of appreciation for delivery personnel, and even handing out kind notes to those who you meet. You work to beautify your neighborhoods by helping to shovel snow and cleaning up trash in your community and at a local hiking trail. You extended a helping hand to your neighbors by mowing their lawn, delivering potted plants, and handwritten notes. Some of you even shared your entire stimulus check with a neighbor who was needing it financially. You reached out to organizations in your community to help serve some of the most vulnerable. You helped someone move into their new home, made care packages for foster youth, provided gifts to help a young mom celebrate her baby, and to kids at a local shelter to celebrate Easter. You donated funds to struggling small businesses. You provided a barbecue dinner to youth living in a shelter, and delivered groceries to local shelters to ensure that they could feed their residents. Eastside, you did this. This list is only a fraction of the things that you did, both large and small, that impacted thousands of lives in ways that we may never know. But what we do know for sure is that God calls us to unleash kindness, hope, joy, and compassion to those in our lives, and you did just that. Your generosity and heart for others is undeniable. You showed radical love and kindness to everyone, no matter who they are, what they look like, or what they have done, exactly how Jesus did.
Well, way to go, Eastside, for unleashing over 5,000 acts of compassion during 21 days of serving. Last summer, after nearly a year and a half of responding and reacting to the COVID crisis and attempting to provide hope and support and love to people who are dealing with so many challenges, so many losses, and so much, our staff prayed and planned and believed that God was calling us to get back on offense and back to reaching people who are far from Him, which led to a year-long initiative we simply call Be a Light. And today, I want to boldly challenge anyone and everyone who has experienced the light of Jesus in your darkness. I want to invite you to join me and be a light in just two very simple but profound ways. First, I want to challenge you to pray specifically to pray specifically for 5 people who you know who need the light of Jesus, who you know they're not ready for their last day on this planet. Earlier, I asked you, who would have been on your invite list to Matthew's party? Let me help you think through. Some of you are like, well, I don't know. Let me help you think through who could it be. I have a friend that likes to do a 5-finger exercise with your hand. Let's just think about it. This maybe will help you think about some people. The thumb represents those people who are closest to you who need the light. Like maybe it's your kids, maybe parents, friends, family. The index finger is for those who have pointed the way in your life, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a grandparent, but who need the light of Jesus too. The middle finger, that's kind of awkward, isn't it? So let's just go there. Who are those that you don't even like? But for some reason, they're a part of your world and they need Jesus too, right? The fourth finger could be think through those who are weak right now, maybe ill, sick, aging, have lost a job, going through a painful season. The pinky, the little one, is for those who have fallen short badly in their lives, who've made some bad mistakes, maybe done prison time, had a huge moral failure, broke marriage vows that caused so much pain for so many people, and they need the light. I don't know if you saw it when you came in today in the lobby, but there's a display with hundreds, probably thousands of light bulb sockets. And it has the unofficial motto of Eastside. Over it says, "This is for," and then the word "everyone." And here's what I want to ask you to think about before you leave the campus today. And that is to write the names of 5 people you know who need the light of Jesus, and just write it on a light bulb today, and we'll put that light bulb in one of the sockets.
In a time full of war, be peace. In a time full of doubt, just believe. Yeah, there ain't much difference between you and me. In a time full of war, be peace. In a world full of hate, be light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't you hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be light. In a place that needs change, make a difference. In a time full of noise, just listen. 'Cause life is but a dream, you better live it. In a place that needs a change, make a difference. In a world full of hate, be light. When you do somebody wrong, make it right. Don't you hide in the dark, you were born to shine. In a world full of hate, be light. To live in color when you just see black and white. In a world full of hate, be alive.
It's been so inspiring to see so many of you embrace this vision. At a time when Many churches and church leaders have pulled back. You, Eastside, have pushed back, and you're bringing light to the darkness. In just the past 3 months, we've had an unprecedented number of first-time guests on our campuses for services, for Next Gen Ministries. And I just sincerely thank all of you for being a light and for praying to impact 5 people in your relational world this year. Well, as you know, Eastside's Next Gen Ministry is world-class because of some of the most amazing change makers and staff on the planet. In a year when COVID concerns compromised most youth camps across the country, because of your generosity, we literally impacted hundreds and hundreds of grade schoolers, junior hires, high schoolers by giving them an amazing Jesus-centered camp-like experience called Summerfest. It's hard to overstate just how much this one mattered. So how much joy does it fill your tank with to see that in the midst of what has to be the most challenging 2 years in our lifetimes for parents and their kids? We love the Next Gen at Eastside. And then this fall, we rallied together as a church in an unprecedented church-wide initiative to slay the monster of financial stress in our lives. Because financial stress is ruining lives, families, marriages, and futures. It's the #1 cause of divorce. So together, over 2,300 of us went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University.
What if you lived like no one else so that you could have peace for financial storms like no one else?
Because God really wants to use money as a tool, as a test, and as a testimony.
We were in a place where we were tired of seeing our money disappear.
We both had student loan debt. We knew we wanted to pay it off, but we didn't have a plan.
We wanted to first pay off all of our debt.
We wanted to buy a house, we wanted to have kids and be able to provide a good life for them.
When my husband died, I knew that I couldn't get by just on my income. My first step was to get financial peace.
And I can't tell you how stoked I am that so many of you are saying these days, I want to be a good manager. I really do. I want to be a good manager of whatever God has entrusted to me. I want to live freely and lightly. I want to cultivate contentment. I want to have peace in my life. I really want to make a difference with my resources. I want to make a difference with my life.
We, the people, can change this toxic, wicked culture when we get control of our lives and export it to others.
Everything that we tried to do on our own just wasn't working. And when we saw FPU being offered at Eastside, we just thought, let's do it. Let's try it this way. You know, I think it was one of the best decisions that we made together.
I had to take a step back and look at our financial situation and realize that I needed to get control of my finances. And then when Jean came out and said that they had Financial Peace University coming about, I was very intrigued.
Let's do it. Let's get out of this mess that we're in and then start making progress to where we should be going.
We paid off $104,780.54.
And we were able to pay off $62,000 in a year. We knocked out all of our student loan debt, our car debt.
Going through the steps, I was able to pay off the personal loan and pay off all the credit card debts because I focused on it. It made me feel really good, and it made me feel that I could do other great things.
Saving money helps put you in a position to protect your loved ones and to bless those around you. Saving empowers generosity.
God's plan for us is not to be in debt to others. He wants us to be blessed and to be able to bless others. And if we're under all of this debt, we can't bless others.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to dig our own way out.
We trusted that God had better plans for it, and it's proven to be true through our whole marriage that we've never been without, and we've always had more than what we needed.
That's just the beginning for us. We want to be generous.
You can be debt-free. You just have to be willing to go through the process. God can use your story and use what you've been through to bless others.
So I'm very excited about the future financially.
I'm so proud of y'all. I'm so excited at what's going to happen. And you have the opportunity to change.
Those 9 weeks of Financial Peace University changed lives, changed marriages, changed families, changed futures. What God did, it takes my breath away. In just 9 weeks, 4,349 credit cards were cut up. $7,812,079 of non-mortgage consumer debt was completely eliminated. And in just 9 weeks, $6,414,866 was put into savings. Praise the Lord and stay on track and make 2022 a breakthrough year of financial peace in your life. Well, one of the things you hear us say every week is that your generosity is changing lives. It's changing lives in our communities, in our online family, and your generosity is changing lives as we unleash compassion globally.
Going there, I wasn't sure what I would expect, and we got 2 options. Okay, do we want to go to Nairobi or Turkana? And I just really prayed about where I want to go, and Turkana just kept on coming back to my heart, and I was just so excited.
When we visited the community and we were building homes for different families, and it happened that one of the homes that we were building belonged to the grandmother of Cecilia.
Cecilia is a beautiful girl, and we met in the community. And when we were doing the house, she made friends with one of the team members. Her name is Kylie. And Kylie was always excited to talk to her.
She kind of came over to us. She was really shy, and then as soon as we started talking to her, she would kind of run away, but we kept on being persistent with her.
We found out that there was this beautiful girl, Cecilia, who had actually not been able to step in a school.
And so I asked Rose, hey, can you ask, why isn't she in school? And so she went over and asked the dad, hey, why isn't she in school? They found out that he was waiting for the highest bidder to sell her to become a child's bride. And when I heard that, I was heartbroken. And I told Rose, the social worker, I'll sponsor her. What can we do to get her into school?
By the time we were finishing to build the home for Cecilia's grandmother, I believe the father just saw what we had just done for his own mother, and he was touched, and he allowed Cecilia to come to our school.
We drove over to the school, and midday we got her a uniform. We got her bright red shoes, and I was able to take her to her first day of school. She got her school picture. It was all set, and I was able to watch her walk into her classroom. It was in that moment I just knew, okay, this is why I'm here. And I was able to show compassion, and we were able to build a home, and for this one life, it was all worth it.
The amount of people that came alongside us, our sponsors, we just could not believe that we got to be the hands and feet of God. When people sponsor you, they sponsor you because maybe they're not able to go, and it's a way for them to go. by helping you go.
I understand how you are sitting there going, how can I go to a foreign country? We were in that exact same position and said, this is scary, all parts about it, food, travel, all that. Judy wasn't a great flyer at the time, and we just said, we got to do it. And we did it. And we've been 6 times, and we're going to go again.
I think one of the things I've learned the most is that when you honor God through a decision or a choice that you make, God honors you, right? So if there's any part of you that thinks like, oh, that could be interesting, or oh, that could be fun, or oh, I want to go meet my sponsor child, or oh, whatever reason it is, if you feel that tug even a little bit, listen to it.
Child sponsorship was so impactful in the community. I had met the kids, I had met their parents, I had met social workers, I had met teachers, and I saw that, for giving up just a small sacrifice of really just a few bucks every month, it changed someone's life so incredibly. And that was really special to me, to go and meet the child that I had only met on paper. It really brings a joy to my heart to receive letters from Ajore a couple times a year, and to be able to send letters back.
We take risks every single day. Every single day we take risks. Is this a risk? Absolutely. But the payoff is it's inexplicable what you will experience until you're there.
Going to Africa changed my life, but also Cecilia's life, and it can change your life.
When one responds to the call of God to do something, you never know what difference it is going to make. God has used Kylie to sponsor Cecilia, and God is going to use Cecilia to make an impact in her community in the future. God uses one that is ready, one that is available.
Thank you, Eastside. I am so moved by your heart for others. And I'm so moved by the hundreds of you who are already indicating interest in our global trips in 2022. And as we approach the final days of this year, and as we look to a new year with great optimism, I just want to invite you to honor God through generosity in 2 ways today. First, you can give your tithes and offerings before the end of the year electronically and safely through the Eastside app, or just by going to eastside.com/give. And second, some of you may feel like God has blessed you over and above this year, and you want to thank Him with an over and above year-end gift. If you just go to this web address on the screen, you can find some tax-advantaged ways to give before the end of the year because of the CARES Act. So thank you in advance for considering this invitation, for your generosity all throughout this past year, and as we head into 2022, lifting up Jesus with renewed vision and momentum on all of our campuses. Speaking of campuses, it's such a privilege for me to serve with our campus pastors, Justin Damagala in Park Rapids, Marcos Garcia in Bellflower, Matt Feldkamp in Redlands, Norm Hamry leading our online campus. All of our campuses have a devoted campus pastor, except one, Anaheim. So for a couple of years, our elders have been encouraging me to fill that role, and today I want to share with you some exciting information for the very first time. Next week, Jake Barker will be joining our team as the Anaheim campus pastor. Jake spoke for us a couple of times this year. Jake and his wife Trudy have 3 children, a 4th child due in April. He's a great communicator, seasoned leader, and I'm so thrilled for the additional horsepower he's going to bring to our Anaheim team, allowing me to have more voltage to pastor and lead the whole of Eastside. In fact, Jake's going to be preaching at all of our services next weekend. Here's some words that Jake shared last July, and I hope you'll just soak up what God says about you.
I want to remind you of something. If you're anything like me, you're pretty forgetful. Sometimes my wife will share memories of our family, and I won't remember them at all. I feel like she's making half of it up. I just don't even remember all this stuff, and I need to be reminded. And God knew that that's exactly who we were, that he would tell us stuff, and then it would go in one ear and out the other. And so I just want to remind you of what God has already said about you. This is the most important. God says that you are loved. Like you're so loved that God sent his one and only son to rescue you from your sin. And you're so loved that the God who spoke the universe into being and didn't break a sweat is intimately involved in the details of your life. You're so loved that neither death nor life, angels nor demons, present nor future, height nor depth, nor anything else in creation can ever separate you from God's love. God says you're loved. God says that you are the salt of the earth. Eastside, you are a city on a hill. You're different from those around you, and that's a really good thing. You preserve things that want to decay. You bring light to areas of darkness. You are a light tower, shining hope to a world in desperate need. God says you are adopted. He knows that your family wasn't what you needed it to be. And he knows that your dad let you down. And he says that when he saved you, he adopted you into his family. And I get to tell you, he is a perfect father. He's gentle in his rebuke. He's steadfast in his love. He loves us in our mess, but he refuses to leave us there. God says you're adopted. God says you're not alone. He tells us that we'll walk through the valley of the shadow of death, but we won't be alone. He'll be with us. He told us that in this life we would have trouble, but he told us to fear not because he's overcome it. He told us that we could be strong and courageous, not because we got it all figured out, not because we have the answers, but because he is with us. God says you're not alone.
You are not alone, and God is with you. And I hope you'll be at an Eastside campus next weekend as we welcome Jake to our team. And then the following weekend, January 8 and 9, I want to launch our New Year series called Recalibrate. A new year is an opportunity for us to recalibrate our lives physically, relationally, but especially spiritually. And I hope you'll join us on an Eastside campus for that weekend. And just for fun, to help you recalibrate the new year physically, we're giving away a bottle of refreshing vitamin water to everybody. Also, we'll start a new series of our 4-week Next Steps experience, which honestly, there could be no better time for you to jump in. Eastside, on this final week of 2021, I just want to thank you for allowing me the privilege of being your pastor. I love you more than I can put into words. 2022 is going to be Eastside's 60th anniversary year. And here's what I believe. I believe our best years are ahead of us and not behind us. And if there's anything the past 2 years have taught us, it's that how much the world needs Jesus. So without hesitation, I want to ask you to join me, and together, let's risk more in the coming year for Jesus with our lives, our prayers, our invitations to church, our generosity, and with our worship, knowing it's worth it, it's worth it, it's worth it, and great is our reward in heaven. Amen? You know, one of the most famous accounts of Jesus' miraculous healing powers recorded in Mark chapter 2. A large gathering of people have filled a house to hear Jesus teach the good news. And a group of friends bring a paralyzed man to the house to ask Jesus to heal him from his physical limitations. But the house is so crowded, they can't even get their disabled friend in the front door. So they decide to be bold and take a huge risk. They climb to the top of the house, tear a big hole in the roof, and lower their friend down on his stretcher directly to the feet of Jesus. How crazy is that? And Jesus forgives his sins and then says, "Take up your mat and walk." And in an instant, that man's life was transformed forever. All because of these 4 friends who were willing to risk more than anybody else, who were courageous enough to wreck the roof and pay any price to get their friend to Jesus. This is the spirit of Eastside, to do whatever it takes, to pay any price, to remove any barriers, to wreck the roof if necessary, to get our friends and family to Jesus. It's why we're passionate about inspiring and pointing the next generation to Jesus. It's why we sacrifice our resources and prayers and time and give bold invitations to friends and family. It's why we plan church services that keep in mind skeptics, doubters, and cynics. It's why we start new campuses and new communities and online, because if we want to make it hard for people to go to hell, we got to make it easy for them to go to church. You see, the history of the Church of Jesus Christ is filled with stories of incredible risk takers, men, women, young and old, amazing yet ordinary people willing to put it all on the line in order for their friends to be transformed by Jesus. In fact, Jesus even told us that following him would require risk and come at a cost. But the reward would be so great in heaven someday. My guess is we won't be in heaven 5 minutes, and most of us will say, why didn't I risk even more? Why didn't I take more faith risk? Why didn't I take more generosity risk? Why didn't I take more risk to love, to engage in conversations that matter? You know, a lot of people believe that Christianity is an outdated relic of the past. But what if they're wrong? What if Jesus is not finished changing lives and rewriting futures and redirecting eternities? What if the greatest days of Eastside are still ahead? I mean, after all, Jesus is the one who said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. You say, but what about racism? The love of Jesus overcomes hatred, prejudice, and racism. But what about addiction? The power of Jesus breaks the chains of addiction. But what about cancel culture? The grace of Jesus helps you forgive and heal broken relationships. But what about anxiety? The peace of Jesus that passes all understanding will guard your heart and your mind. May Eastside always be known as a church that is head over heels in love with Jesus, centered on Jesus, and takes big risks to get our friends to Jesus. May we always be people who really grasp how high, how wide, how deep, how long is the love of God for everyone in Jesus. May we be people who love to worship him, give to him, serve him, take risks for him, because we are just forever grateful to Jesus. May we be men and women, students and young people who stand firm, stand strong, who refuse to go with the flow, who refuse to quit or throw in the towel when life gets tough, because we are fueled by nothing less than an unbridled passion to risk more for Jesus.
There's nothing that our God can't do. Come on! It's not a mountain that he can't move. Oh, praise the name that makes a way. There's nothing that our God can't do. Come on, let's sing this out together. There's nothing that our God can't do. There's not a prison wall he can't break through. Oh, praise the name. power like the power of Jesus. Let faith arise, let all agree. There's no power. Come on, let's sing that one more time. I will believe.